It's December 2nd, 2018. Former congressional candidate Tim Canova just recently announced that his legal team is filing a complaint officially contesting the results of a congressional race from last month in which Canova faced off against former DNC chairwoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Very controversial politician. It was very unbelievable. I did a video on the night of the midterms and was shocking the percentage of votes that Debbie Wasserman Schultz received allegedly. Now they are calling to invalidate those results. Canova is, and this is happening in Florida. Brenda Snipes in Broward had been receiving a lot of criticism for what seemed like some kind of fraud going on. Vote rigging for Democrats was the allegation going on in these midterms in Florida. People were wondering why Brenda Snipes hadn't been fired earlier. She had a number of scandals. One of them also involved Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Tim Canova. Tim Canova just last month had this tweet in response to somebody actually sending him a tweet of Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Brenda Snipes, who just yesterday they had announced had been suspended from her position as election supervisor. They were campaigning together. Somebody sent this a picture of the two together, showing this obvious bias to her opponent, Tim Canova. And Tim Canova said reality is reality, and reminded them of a previous lawsuit back from 2016. One of these reasons why Brenda Snipes should have been removed much earlier, but Brenda Snipes in one case illegally destroyed paper ballots in the 2016 primary between Canova and Wasserman Schultz with 9 days before the election, with thousands of absentee and early ballots already cast. He asks, what could they be talking about at that event? So that was on the 28th of October. And then they had pretty unbelievable results, in my opinion. Now, they have just had on the website for Tim Canova, yesterday he announced that he is filing this complaint to contest the election. Debbie Wasserman Schultz was elected. He's calling for a revote of those results. So this is what they're saying here. They're saying that they pull a couple of key quotes here. Tim Canova, independent candidate in Florida's 23rd congressional race, has filed a motion for a court to invalidate the results of the 2018 general election and declare that a new election shall proceed with hand-marked paper ballots that are counted by hand in public and reported immediately and publicly at the local precinct level. And the details of Canova's court filing, Broward County election supervisor Brenda Snipes is alleged to have engaged in misconduct that was sufficient to change or place in doubt the results of the 2018 election. Canova cites Snipes, another official Spencer, the SOE director of voting equipment, and other deputy supervisors. He says that they violated their oaths to faithfully perform their duties, engaged in repeated misconduct and violations of state and federal laws, including criminal statutes. So Canova also calling out Snipes, and Canova is liberal. He's a Democrat candidate, so this is further highlighting how Brenda Snipes is receiving criticism from all angles, Republicans and Democrats, waking up to her obvious corruption here. Donald Trump posted this joke about Brenda Snipes just a few days ago, saying Brenda Snipes, in charge of voting in Broward County, Florida, was just spotted wearing a beautiful dress with 300 I voted signs on it. And then he sarcastically adds, just kidding, she is a fine, very honorable, and highly respected voting tactician. A couple other people made memes about this. Mike Huckabee shared one with Brenda Snipes, Photoshop of Brenda Snipes with a bunch of I voted stickers. Broward co-election official Brenda Snipes continues the vote count. So that was a few days before she had actually been removed. Now they want to have a recount of, there could be other races following this, but Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Canova wants a recount of that specifically. There's also other, now that there's this potential fight in court coming up with Brenda Snipes, involving Brenda Snipes, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Canova doing this. I'm wondering if there could be any involvement of other groups. We know previously that Soros-funded groups defended Broward's Brenda Snipes, this recently removed election supervisor. Soros-funded groups defended her in a lawsuit alleging inaccurate voter rosters. So in another case involving possible fraud going on with voting, you had Soros groups defending Snipes. So see if that similar things happen. I mean, that was previously, and more recently in these midterms, you had other Soros organizations and Hillary-linked organizations trying to help with the recount. So you thought that you would think that they may have been less obvious about their involvement in 2018 after that having happened recently, but it doesn't seem like it has. So something to keep an eye on there as well. I have a couple other interesting things from Canova's website pointing out some of the key specific issues with these midterms. They say, 1, Snipes failed to safeguard the chain of custody of the paper ballots cast in Broward County for this election, and the scope of this issue is sufficient to change or place in doubt the results of the election as now certified. Certification of the purported 2018 election results is based on inadequate and incomplete information, and it is therefore an invalid certification of those results. More specifically, approximately 98,000 votes are reported by Snipes to have been cast for Schultz without any indication as to how and when those votes were cast. To date, Snipes still has not provided this information about the 98,000 votes from nowhere. The election voting machines used for this election are inherently defective, they said. The machines as well as to the chain of custody for the electronic votes cast in this election. Complaint further states, unfortunately, this is only the most recent instance of what is now a pattern of misconduct by Snipes regarding paper ballots, as it followed barely a year after, again referring to the previous fight between Canova and Snipes over the unlawful destruction. Brenda Snipes of Broward unlawfully destroyed hundreds of boxes of all paper ballots cast in Broward County in the 2016 Democratic primary for Florida's 23rd congressional district between Canova and Schultz This was in violation of state and federal law. And while Canova's prior lawsuit to inspect those ballots was pending, so it was also amid a lawsuit to inspect the ballots, Snipes still destroyed them. Another race involving Debbie Wasserman Schultz previously, so pointing out that it's not the only issue. Now in these midterms, in addition to Snipes' failure to safeguard the integrity of paper ballots in 2018, after previous scandal with Schultz again, and the 2018 general election for Florida, the certification of the purported results is based on inadequate and incomplete information. It's therefore an invalid certification of those results. More specifically, these 98,000 votes reported by Snipes to have been cast for Schultz. There's no indication as to how and when those votes were cast to date. She's still not provided that info. 98,000 votes from nowhere. He wants to know more info on that. And more context, just this article, they're saying this latest news comes just under 24 hours after it had been reported that Florida's Governor Rick Scott had fired Brenda Snipes, effective immediately. I have this article linked in the video description to go into a few previous issues, again, with Debbie Wasserman Schultz, just giving context, but definitely an interesting development with Broward. There was a debate, I guess, or it's unclear in a way. Brenda Snipes, she was suspended. She was set to receive a really outrageous retirement package, $130,000 a year in retirement. And some sources are saying that she's still expected to receive this, or others are saying it's unclear whether this will affect that retirement plan on Brenda Snipes. I would like to know about that as well. So that's another thing that I will update here. Continue to follow anything related with Brenda Snipes or this race with Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Let me know what you think in the comments. We have a link to my Patreon account and PayPal in the video description. Thanks everybody that has supported the channel through there. Also have that article link.